I want to talk about the fact that you are a marketing machine. You really are. There are so many times that we've had chats about your strategy and so forth, and you absolutely didn't need a thing for me because I just basically listen and then watch you whip out something 50 times, literally greater than I even imagined or envisioned you doing. And just how do you do that? I think it's so hard as a professional to focus on the core of your business and then excel at branding yourself and expanding your, creating reach. What is it inside? What makes you tick? How? How?
Wow, Umindi, coming from you, whom I have the greatest respect for what you do and how you do it, I don't even know if I'm qualified
You are,
to
but
answer
thank you.
this. But I think that I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. And, when people go to business school or whatever, and they have the dreams of opening a business or, start projects and ventures of their own, they are usually being told that they are going to have to spend about 75% of their time marketing, after they raise the money, right? Because,
Right.
like, that's a full-time job at the
In it,
beginning,
in of
right?
itself.
So while I don't think that 75% of my time could be in marketing, because then it would really take from what I do for the clients and so on and so forth, which is a lot of learning and a lot of like showing them new things and negotiating with galleries, etc. I think that marketing is something that comes natural to me in the sense that I don't have any fear of anxiety about putting myself out there, right?
Right.
In a way that I think represents my values and who I am. And as I have grown older, as you know, there is a little less of the weight that the press used to have, right? And this has changed, right? Like everybody likes, a profile in the New York Times, which I already got before all this, hoopla and all this kind of, you don't even know who you're writing or reading about anymore, of all.
You've been published in pretty much every top leading publication about you.
Well, but what I'm
But
saying is that I understand it has changed,
yeah,
right? Like it's not
the power of
the power of that. And I'm not saying it's not good. I love it. If the New York Times is listening, I'm still here. But what I'm trying to say is that people have so much power in their hands to craft their image through social media, appearance, whatever you want, right? And I say, look, I'm not on TikTok. I know that's the hottest thing. My children are there. And I'm not sure if right now, with all that I have going on, my time is well spent crafting. And it could be a repurposed, content from Instagram or whatever. But what I'm saying is marketing is something where you have to utilize your resources, where you get the highest return on investment. The art collectors and the people that I serve are not on TikTok.
right,
They might be. It might be my kids' peers,
right.
It might be my kids. I'm gonna turn them into clients.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that put your attention in marketing on first where there's like the least amount of friction, which is social media, because you have a direct connection to whomever is browsing or looking or your audience that is already there or whatever. Once you move on to something that somebody else has control of, right? Like, oh, the next thing would be, let's say, press or whatever. It's more friction. It's more time that you have to spend trying to get there. It can happen. It is necessary for certain businesses, but some others are going to see a very small return of investment trying to get those, press hits and things like that. Podcasts are all the rage, right? And so that is also a marketing tool. And look, I think that the marketing aspect of running a business has to do so much with the owner, the CEO, the face of the business being so prepared to tell the story, to be an excellent storyteller with images, with voice, with, a cohesiveness, right? That AI will never be able to do, right? I mean, I have all the sort of people freaking out of like, and there will be AI artists and AI music. And I said, okay, fine. But once, people have to show up in person or like in this setting we are right now, they are going to have to explain everything that they've been doing and they
Themselves.
themselves, and they are going to have to articulate narratives.
Yeah.
And articulate narratives are not something that everybody can do. And so for anybody who's thinking about marketing and how to market yourself, I suggest you go through the exercise of writing down who you are, what your values are, who do you want to appeal to? And that's very important. Do not fall into the trap of thinking, I want everybody to love me.
Right.
Because that's not how things work, especially as we become more and more niche, right? I mean, and this, there are singers and hip hop artists that my kids follow that I have never heard of. They have 30 million followers on Instagram. They have 200 million followers on TikTok. And that is considered niche. And I don't even know who they are. I'm telling you.
Right.
And I don't even want to name the names because I don't want to sound silly, but it's important really for people to understand that niche is not so small as we used to consider before, right? Like, oh, niche is like 100 people. No, niche now is a much bigger thing, but it's a lot of alignment of what they want and what you offer. And look, I mean, I understand the messages you put out in the world stay there forever. So be extraordinarily cautious, not to the degree that it's going to stifle your image or the way you look, but to the degree that you don't want to have to regret in the future of putting something out there that is not you in a
Right.
moment of anger, rage. I don't know. People get offended for just be careful, be honest, be truthful. Speak truth to power if need be, but be careful.
Right. As someone with a communications background, crisis management, I just wish some people would put a lid on it. Like, don't take your emotions to social media
Yeah.
because, those things pop up again. But anyway, that's some folks, that's their ministry and their way of getting recognition. And that's a strategy too.
Yep.
But I think the takeaway is really that, what I'm hearing from you is that marketing is important. Start where you can, do what you can. And yes, the New York Times story in the media is powerful, but there are other things that you can do that may be lower hanging fruit and you should apply yourself.
You should. And, I think that, again, like we live in the times, like you said, people want to cause a stare, and that is a way of calling people's attention. It is not necessarily something that works out for everybody.
Right.
This can backfire tremendously, as you know. And things that you put out in the internet stay there forever, no matter how many times you delete them. I've told my kids, you write with Sharpie on the internet. It's not like,
Sure.
it's not a little pencil and then you're going to erase it. It is, and you have to own your things. But as I'm telling you, as I get older, the priority for me in the marketing space is I want to be honest. I want to be truthful. I want to be someone who is giving value to people, right? And not just showing my ass, like that is the young me who was more insecure, who perhaps needed validation. And I think every human being likes to be recognized for their work. And that is very important. There's nothing wrong in wanting applause and recognition. But when that becomes the only thing you're looking for, it is a house of cards.
Right.
And we are going to start seeing more and more of those celebrities who've built their businesses around their asses and their house of cards crumbling unless they are able to come up with something way stronger. Because we all get old, whether you like it or not. And as you get old, your mind changes, your perspective changes. You have a different spiritual dynamic and perspective with yourself and the world around you. And it is fun to think that you're always going to be relevant because you had a moment but it is the truth that it's just not. It is a passing thing.
Right. Right. And I think that's beautiful too. There's a time and place for everything.